Hi, everyone. Welcome to our training. And I forget what we called it. Heart-centered marketing. Was that?
Heart-centered marketing. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm here with Lauren, and I also forgot to ask you how to pronounce your last name. So if you could.
Gaggioli, like
Okay. Perfect.
ravioli.
Ravioli, Gaggioli. Perfect.
There you
Yes.
go.
So Lauren and I connected. I'm going to probably let you kind of introduce yourself, but we connected online in such a fun way I was on a podcast and Lauren reached out to me and I just love what she's doing. I am really obsessed with SEO and the power it has to give me some more, like I've got lots of freedom, but what I don't have is lots of passive income. And so I'm looking for ways to have, and I got a little taste of this when I bought a website a couple of years ago. I was building my list by 100 subscribers at a time or a month, 100 subscribers a month, which to me was amazing. And I got a little taste because I was always, well, for one, I was saying, I don't want to write for robots. I'm a creative. Like, I like to just
Mm-hmm.
feel my writing and like, how am I going to feel my writing if I'm like plugging in formulas and stuff? And it's funny because I have a background in science. So, I went different directions at times. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was a chemical technologist in Ministry of the Environment Lab was like my last job in that career. But yeah, anyway, we'll go back to SEO because I can get off track here. But
That's a whole other thing.
yeah, that's
I'm
a whole
curious
other
though. I want to learn more.
thing. Yeah, the whole thing with SEO though was the robot thing. And then it was also like for me, an email marketer, I was thinking, why would I want to go through all that effort to get someone on my site and then I still have to convert them to a customer from there when I can be an email marketer, send out a link straight to the offer and make um, money, help people build my business. But that was short sighted in terms of that's always active income. So I'm really excited to see how this all came together. And Lauren really helped me through her program see this. I never meant to have this long introduction here, but like I'm just speaking from the heart centered marketing here. Just like you really helped me to see the overall picture and really how it can be such a service rather than, just kind of plugging in to match the algorithms or whatever. Like it's amazing the way you've taught it that it just really connects. So I love that. And I love that you're here to share some of your knowledge with my community today. So thank you so much, Lauren, for being here. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. It's been a while since I did a
Yes.
live webinar. So we've got a number of participants here. Welcome, everybody.
Wonderful.
And I'm going to hand it over to you, Lauren, and let you kind of take over the reins. And I'm here, to be the, what's it called, peanut gallery as we go
The
through.
foil, the the plant in the audience to
Right,
ask
right.
those right questions. No, everybody's welcome to ask questions. I'm very comfortable doing this. I've been in the online space for a decade now. And I got my start with an ACT and SAT prep company. So I helped kids get ready to go to college. And I just love sharing knowledge. It's one of my favorite things to do. And so, my hope is that you leave this presentation empowered to go and take some sort of action. Because, as I already have mentioned, 96.5% of web pages on the internet do not get any traffic from organic search. And to me, that's a real travesty because with that first business, what I learned is if you build it, they won't come. Like just having something to offer isn't enough. If you want to have impact, and from that impact, then as well income, then why wouldn't you empower Google to help you for free without an ad spend? And so it took me like I'm saying it now in a sentence, but like it took me a long time to get here. Fellow mompreneur on the on the gram, who I actually met at the playground.
Oh,
She
cool.
shared something this morning. She was like, anybody who tells you that being a, she was speaking specifically to a mom and an entrepreneur, anybody who tells you that that is easy is lying. And I think, frankly, just half of that equation is hard. Being an entrepreneur is tricky, particularly in this day and age, especially if you're only online. Like people aren't walking by your storefront on Main Street and just having, a wild hair to check in. So figuring out how to find your people is kind of the name of the game, because if you're here, I trust that what you offer is amazing and deserves to be in the hands of your ideal client. So this is about closing the loop and figuring out how to really make that connection. So what I am going to do,
Lauren, you're muted again. I swear I didn't do it.
I'm on again.
I did not do it that time. Unless I accidentally clicked something, because
Who muted me? Who's like, this lady? I'm done.
I
I'm
don't know
out.
what's I've never hosted someone where they keep getting muted. So I'm so sorry.
Well, sorry, I'll just keep my hand on the space bar.
You need this
um,
message to be out there. I want this message out there.
So I just dropped the link. It's a like pretty link. It's a redirect through my site. It'll send you to a Google document, and that Google Doc will create a copy for you. This is your personal copy. So make comments in the margins. You can write little notes throughout. You can bold, you can underline, you can italicize, whatever you want to do. You can delete the whole thing if you prefer. But that is the link where you can get that. I also sent a PDF to Angela. So if she, and you guys are welcome to save it however you like, feel free to use this as your template. This is sort of what we're going to walk through today. And as we go, if you have questions, please type them into the chat. I will do my best to monitor the chat. At the very least, at the end, I will scroll back and answer any and all questions that I can. You're welcome to unmute and ask me live if it's like too much to type out. Totally fine. But if anything I say is unclear, because as you can tell, I like to talk. I talk very fast. And this stuff is kind of technical. I try to remember that as I'm teaching, but there's always those gaps that I want to make sure I'm bridging that gap for you. So let's go ahead and dive in.
Yay.
Here we go. So, heart centered marketing. The reason I talk about SEO, not in terms of like, let me teach you SEO, SEO is the basis of everything I teach. But the premise that that creates this as the foundation is this: every business and organization solves a problem. And when people have problems that they are ready to solve, they ask Google for help. And they ask Google for help in usually one of two ways. They either ask him for information, or they ask him for a product or service that they are looking for, that they know the words to name it, but they don't necessarily know who provides it. All right. So, right there, you can see that not only is Google helpful for connecting you to somebody, it's helpful because that person has self-identified and self-selected to seek out the information. And if you've ever done any thinking about the buyer's journey, like we don't want to convince somebody from cold, right? We want somebody who is a warm lead. Who's a warm lead? Somebody who knows they need something, right? And so this is inherently the difference between social and organic search, because on social, you're just kind of running into folks. You're like, hey, do you want my thing? Hey, I'm talking about this today. Is that interesting to you right now in this very moment when you're like here to doom scroll or look at like cat videos? This is a completely different exchange because they asked for you. It's permission marketing at its finest. And so if you can signal to Google, if you can raise your hand and signal to Google with clarity what you do, think of yourself as a beacon, as a lighthouse, your website, your digital doorstep. You are saying on the welcome mat, this is what I do. You say who you serve and how you serve them and why you are an authority in that. Then you are eligible to be served up in the search engine results pages. Sometimes people call that your SERPs, as the solution that Google trusts to answer the question, right? And that's what this is. It's an exchange of trust. Google's a matchmaker. He's our hero here because all he does all day long is connect people who have problems and know they need a solution with the solution providers. And he does it for free, which for me as a solopreneur, as somebody who does everything herself, wears all the hats, which I'm sure a lot of you are like that, the reason that that's so powerful is that we don't have an ad spend, right? Time is the magic ingredient. Quality content is the magic ingredient, not an ad spend that you go, gosh, that I hope this works, right? So no big outlay at the front, and an inherently different proposition to what you would see in social. Okay. And so the other thing that I love about SEO over social, and it is a false dichotomy to be sure. So you can do both, right? But as a solopreneur, as a homeschooling mom of two, like I don't have that much time. So when I am spending my time, I have to decide what has the biggest impact. What is going to not just feed me right now, but feed me a year from now, 2 years from now. And what I learned with my first company, which by the way, I sold that company for 6 figures based on the strength of my organic search, my email list, right? This is a whole thing. Yes, revenue played into it, but it's a whole cycle and it all fits together. And SEO feeds the email list, which then feeds the revenue. So if we can close that loop, we are actually empowered to step away from our business a little bit, work in that kind of CEO or founder's headspace rather than constantly just going day to day trying to like just find people and then serve those people. But the reason that I like SEO over social is that long tail effect. And what I found with my business, I kind of hit a peak where I was getting about 16,000 new users to my website every single month. And that lasted. It wasn't really a peak, it was a plateau. And I sat there for 2 years. And the interesting thing about this is that July of 2017 is when that kind of started. I had my daughter in October of 2017, and I was working 4 hours a week when she was born. And I did not waver from that until I went, oh, the traffic's going down. I guess I better fix that. So for 2 years, Google was sending me leads. Now, I don't recommend not publishing anything for 2 years. Let's be clear, but it did feed us. And I did have that 4 hour work week ease where all I had to do was support the people who came through my doors, said they wanted email, or who came through my doors and wanted my passive courses. And so the systems you set up, if you start driving traffic to them, that can create this inherent ease in your business. But make no mistake, the first crank of the flywheel, we all know the first time you do something, the first time you create something from nothing, that is the hardest, heaviest lift. So there's a moment where you're going to go, oh gosh, this is really hard. But once the system sort of settles in and once you see how it all connects, then you're like, oh, is it worth it now to make that investment of time to have that passive income later? It's the most active income you'll ever make because you do the lion's share of your investment on the front end, right? Your time investment, your sweat equity, all of that comes on the front end. What I always thought about was that it was like I was making that ROI off of the principal investment. I was taking a percentage, right? It is, make no mistake, an investment. But to me, it's worth it because once you get it going, it's this continually cycling beast that you just slot into the system and you work the system and Google goes, oh yeah, you're still trustworthy, cool, thanks for being here, here's some potential new clients for you. So that is why SEO, and that's why SEO is the foundation of everything. But SEO is not enough because what a lot of folks who name themselves SEO consultants or SEO experts stop at is, hey, I got you traffic. Check, my job's done. But to me, it's not just about that, right? As if you're running a business, you need revenue too. And so it's about impact and income. It's about reaching the right people at the right time and creating this sort of flow to a conversion event. And the conversion event is dependent upon the query, the actual words that somebody types into Google. So I'm going to share a little bit more about that, but I'm going to come over here and check in if any, see if anybody dropped any questions in. Okay.
I would
No.
love to add something as
Yeah,
well, if you don't mind. Um,
please. Yeah.
yeah, just where you were talking about social
Mm-hmm.
and looking at that, yeah, you're kind of almost connecting with people. You've got some followers as well, but
Yeah.
I see the same thing, a little bit of the same thing in email, and I love email. I am an email marketer. However, one of the things about email is when I'm emailing daily, I'm choosing for them, what product
Yes.
I'm promoting. And I'm
Yeah.
very well aware there's only a small percentage of people at any given time who are going to respond to that. And I've really been putting like a lot of brain energy into the idea around how do I make it so people who are matching with my products, even as an email marketer, like forget SEO, but in the first place of don't forget it for too long, but just forget it for this.
For this moment.
Yeah, just for this moment. How do I match, the people who are looking for the products up through email? And that comes in with automation, but it gets so complicated. And then when I start looking at SEO, I'm like, okay, at first, my interest in SEO was to build that list to continue to do what I was doing. But then, looking at your training, and I know another awesome SEO person, but mostly through your training, you've shown me, driving people to the sales pages, answering questions related to those products that they would be asking about before they're
Yeah.
going to purchase a product. And I really, I'm really seeing the power of that. So when you had your daughter, SEO was driving your business. I had my daughter 10 years ago as well. She's 10 now, but I didn't
Oh,
have that kind of stuff in place. So I had to put other systems in place so that, I could take care of her as well. But
yeah.
I'm seeing this just like transform how I will operate my business. So it's like I'm serious about this stuff. And that's why I had you here when I had like a policy to do no Zooms this year. So
Oh my gosh. It's not
this
even
is
March and we've broken your policy.
this is too
Sorry.
serious. And also, I realized having like strict rules is never a good idea because like
Yeah.
I'm a rebel against my own rules. So
Me too. Me too.
yeah,
Oh,
go ahead.
same.
That's my input there.
Yeah. Well, and we can speak to this in a little bit when we talk about sort of those pathways. And I'm glad you mentioned sales pages. I'm just gonna skip to the end. Um, when you are creating sales pages, those sales pages can rank in Google. Like I have an online mastermind, and that sales page is starting to climb for some terms that I didn't even know I was targeting. Like sometimes that happens. You like pick one, and then like suddenly it's like, if anybody remembers in Galaxy Quest where they start dragging the mines, it's like that. Like suddenly it's just like hauling all the rest of the other stuff on board, and you're like, whoa, that's a lot more volume than I thought it was gonna be. That's
Awesome.
great.
Mhm.
And if it's a sales page, it's a 1% conversion. That's just the average, right? So if you get somebody with a buyer's intent, somebody who knows that they are searching something that has a price tag attached to it, it's called a transactional query if you want the proper term. As long as you smooth the road and you make it as friction free as possible to get people through the door, you can have people clicking buy now buttons who you've never talked to before. And that was with my first company where I knew something had shifted because for a while you have a conversation with every person who wants to buy your stuff and you learn where the gaps are in your sales page. Like by the questions they ask, you're like, well, that should go in an FAQ, or I should have woven that in somewhere. Or maybe we need some icons that indicate the specifics. You know, you start to refine based on the feedback. And then
Mhm.
one day, nobody asks for feedback. They just give you money on the internet. And you're like, whoa, that's that's power right there. That's tremendous trust built through the system, the clarity, the resonance. This is where everybody should have video on their sales pages. Like people want to know who you are. They want to know who they're buying from, and that engenders trust.
Mhm.
And people buy from whom they trust, and you can do that with your words. Angela, it's the reason I reached out to you at first. Like this is a mutual admiration society because I read your webpage and I was like, yes, like this is my person. This is somebody who thinks similarly to me, is making me like look at blind spots differently than I ever had. And that's the kind of people we want to be in connection with. And it's becoming more and more common to have that kind of connection digitally, right? People
Mhm.
aren't weirded out by that anymore. So you have the power to do that. Now, informational queries, queries where people just have a question. So I always use the example for me, organic marketing course is that transactional query, right? If somebody wants an organic marketing course, they're probably looking for a paid service or SEO consultant, right? Nobody's doing SEO consulting for free. However, if someone's like, do I need SEO for my small business? Then that's an informational query. That person isn't yet ready to buy. And that's where you can create the onboarding to your email list. And to your point, Angela, when people come in through a particular pathway, a particular opt in that is connected to the queries they ask, you have the ability to tag and segment and create nurture sequences around that concept. And so it gives you so much more granularity and understanding of who is there and why if you have all that tagging on lockdown. Now, if you don't, totally fine. There are ways to kind of back into it, but this is how you start to grow your email list. And just to give you a sense, I'm launching my course tomorrow. I was looking through the data as I was putting kind of the finishing touches on, and the opt in that I have around SEO and organic marketing is converting at 7%. And I'm not yet driving much traffic to that pathway, but even just the trickle I have is coming in at 7%. You extrapolate that and you go, oh my gosh, like this has the power to really blow up eventually, right?
Hmm.
So it's about seeing the pathway forward and then sort of back solving for like, okay, then how do I use the traffic that I'm going to get, and like what would I want to, if I came in through the query, what does SEO, do you need SEO for a small business? How then would I help that person, right? And that becomes a free opt-in, a lovely nurture sequence that says, hey, do you have any questions at multiple points, and invites them to engage with you. And just it all hooks together. And that's what I love, because so many people teach this thing and this thing, but the thing that's magic and keeps you from like losing your mind is seeing how it all hangs together, because then it doesn't feel like, well, I need effort in this direction and then effort in this direction. When you make it a flow, it becomes sustainable. And that's what we really need as the business owner, is something that we can do. So let's get back to it. And we're going to dive into step one of the steps that I've laid out for you. Um, the first thing that I see a lot of people do not have um, is any traffic at all. And sometimes that's an indicator that Google doesn't even know you exist. And so right now, this is the group participation part of the call. There is a link in that document. I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste it. It is the traffic checker from Ahrefs, which Angela knows because I prattle on a lot about Ahrefs. So if you go to this traffic checker, and that's annoying that it didn't hyperlink. Sorry about that. If you go to the traffic checker, just drop it in, put in your URL, and then see what traffic comes back. Thank you, Angela. And if you feel like sharing, keeping in mind that 96.5% of the web pages on the internet get zero traffic. If you want to drop in what number is coming to your website, how many people are coming via organic search each month, I would love to see it. Oh, Catherine. That's amazing. 3.7K. That's awesome. Good work. That is really great. So I would be curious on that one. Now I feel like I need to go look at yours because I can see your URL. Angela has 50. She's still working. Listen, it takes 6 to 12 months for this to take off. So
I'm
you
actually
you are
happy
well
with
within
my
the window.
progress, believe it or not, because I
That's
see the
awesome.
chart going up and I've been looking
Yes.
at the numbers. It's very
Yes.
encouraging. Yeah, Catherine, that's
Okay, so
awesome.
Catherine, you are speaking to uh your longevity in the field, and that goes to your domain authority. So Google, one of the metrics they use, and Google's very sneaky when they tell you about their metrics. They're like, yes, we use this, but we aren't going to tell you how or why or what we use to figure this out. But they have numbers. It's your domain authority. And so domain authority goes to your experience, the EEAT, your, oh boy, they added another E. It used to just be EAT. So it's your expertise, I think it's expertise, experience, trustworthiness, and authoritativeness. And I definitely didn't do those in order because I put the T before the A, but you follow. Um, so yeah, oh, 49, and that's beautiful. Woo! I
Yes.
want a backlink from you, lady. So, the way you can build up your domain authority is to be a trusted resource. And the main way that Google tracks that is through how many backlinks you have to your site, as well as the number of disparate domains, unique domains that are referring to you. So, if you have like if you own two websites and you just give yourself a ton of backlinks, it doesn't count as much because it's all coming from a single domain. But if you can do podcasts, like be a podcast guest on like 38 different podcasts, then that can funnel more links your way from different URLs. So hopefully I've explained that well. All right. So a lot of other people are being very quiet about their results, which is totally fine. You don't have to share it. This is totally at will. Fran, I love it. 0. Way to be brave. Yeah. 0, like if you see that, I cannot tell you how many people I talk to and they're like, I'm getting 0. And I'm like, I know, like everybody's getting 0 because
Mhm.
it's just not what we talk about in this space. It's not, I used to have a podcast called The Unsexy Side. This is the unsexy side of online business. Nobody wants to talk about it. It's not fun. You're not getting a like or a heart or, all the or comments. Like it's Google. It's like everybody knows it, but like it's not fun. And I think that's why so many people don't do it, but it's also everybody knows it. That should be why we do it because it's where people
Right.
go for their solutions. All right. So, to start to turn on the spigot, and make no mistake, it will be a trickle at first. To start to get there, you need to go and submit your website and verify your domain with Google Search Console. Now, not to be confusing, but Google has kind of 3 properties that we all know about. So there's Google Analytics, which if you made it through that analytics update, God bless. Um, so there's that, but that is not the same thing as raising your hand and saying, hey, Google, put me in your search engine results pages. The Google Search Console is where you do that. So Google Analytics, Google Search Console, and then Google Business Profile, which is exclusively for now. They've just changed their policies again. It's exclusively for businesses that you can go, like they have hours of operation. You can either walk to them or they can come to you and meet you face to face. This is a new clause. So they can come to you and be like think of a plumber who would like come to your house in a regular window. So if you have a local business with hours and a storefront and all that, if you're willing to meet people at the drop of a hat, like if somebody called you, you would say, "Hey, I can meet you at your residence or what have you," then you can have that Google business profile. So if you want your numbers to go up, if you want to have the ability to raise your hand when you have new content and say, hey, Google, come crawl this new URL that's on my site, then you need to make sure you are connected to Google Search Console. So just because you are getting some traffic doesn't necessarily mean you are actually connected. It could have been just Google's bots found you out there on the interwebs. But regardless, if you don't know if you're verified, go to Google Search Console and get verified. You do also want to set this up first because there are also Bing Webmasters tools, which feeds Bing and Yahoo. And once you set up Google Search Console, you can just port whatever settings and verifications you have directly into Bing. So it's you do one and you get both in one fell swoop. So that is step number 1. There are other things you can do to like plus up your website and make it pretty and perfect and all that. I say don't wait. Like if it's going to take you longer than an hour to do all the things you would want to do to like get your website ready for the showtime for the big show, just don't wait. Just get it in there because it takes time. As I said before, 6 to 12 months is kind of the average to get on the board. And that's okay because ultimately, once you're on the board, once you're in Google's good graces, and once he knows you're a trustworthy resource, you got to be ready for the deluge because he's going to turn on the spigot. So the next thing after that that you want to do is to connect with your ideal prospect by researching the language they're using in search. And this is the part that I think creatives feel like is going to stifle them. They're like, if I see the words they're using, oh no, then I won't have my own words to use. It's like Ariel, right? Your voice will be stolen. You know, I had to use a Disney reference, Angela.
Yes, I appreciated it right away.
So the thing about this is when you learn a structure and when you learn the language people are using. So when you learn the language they're using and when you learn how to do on-page SEO, which is how you format your writing to speak to bots, it brings in more clarity. It brings in more resonance. It does not necessarily completely stifle your creativity. And you also have permission to write non SEO optimized posts. Like I have one that's about entrepreneurial mindset, and it's called I Have an Itchy Brain and There's No Cream for That. Literally nobody's looking for that. That was for me. That was a full, just like creative expression. I wrote it at like 3 a.m. one night when the muse arrived and I had to heed the call. That can still happen. You're allowed to do that. But if you never write with clarity, if you never write to answer somebody's question who could use the expertise you have, if you never have, is SEO necessary for a small business? If you never have that, then how are people going to find you in the wilds of the internet? Google doesn't know who you are. He doesn't know what you do. So the process of looking at these keywords provides refinement. To give you another example, someone who went through the course in the cohort before you, Angela, his name is Vincent Puglisi. He has membership freedom. You guys are actually, I should introduce you two because you two are very aligned in how you think about things. He likes to teach people about, now I'm not even going to remember what he called it. Oh, he was talking about creating a membership as recurring income. He said, we want to have businesses that have recurring income, recurring income, recurring income. That was sort of the word he was hanging on. He did some keyword research. He and his wife worked together. I don't know if he or Elizabeth found this, but they, Vincent messaged me. He's like, uh-oh. I was like, what's happening? He goes, I've been using recurring income and everybody else is saying recurring revenue.
Mm.
And he goes, I should change that. And so that's not necessarily going to get him on the board for the term recurring revenue. Like he's not necessarily going to be found through organic search, but you better believe if that's the language that his ideal prospect is using, when he is writing about it, and that now is just the shift that he makes, it's much more simple and easy for people to know, like, and trust you when they see the language they use reflected. It just
Yes.
reduces friction that like extra notch.
I found that as I'm doing a lot of
Did you?
research, yeah, because I was, well, after taking your program, I'm looking around one of my top programs for seller, like the top selling programs that I have.
Uh-huh.
And I was building out, like keywords for different articles, keywords for the sales page. And you do find, and I find as I'm coaching clients and working with clients, we're thinking about what's in our own heads a lot more. And I've gotten a lot of practices of this because like I've been selling for a long time, but especially when people are
Yeah.
newer, you're not thinking about what other people are thinking or the language they're using, the questions they're asking. And just like I love the keyword research tool I have. And it's just like in my browser, which might be dangerous because I know it can
Yeah.
be distracting.
I
But
know. I do
I
it
do,
too.
yeah, it's just right there as soon as I think of something because I don't want to miss out on potential ideas, right? But
Mm-hmm.
it's just a way to continually remind yourself, like when you're thinking about the terms you're looking up, these are real people typing in these things, and you're able to see from their perspective a lot better by doing that, like what you're
Yeah.
explaining. And Vincent says something I say all the time too. recurring, I was saying recurring income, and I am
Yeah.
huge on recurring. Anyone, you know, in here who's on my list will know I talk about it a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's important, especially if you want to build something that can, if you want to keep yourself small, right? As not keep yourself small, like don't share your voice, but keep yourself as a smaller, tighter organization. Like I don't want to have an agency.
Hmm.
Absolutely not. That sounds like hell. What I want is to have the freedom to choose my clients and choose and have agency over how I serve people
Hmm.
and to be able to make money when I'm not actively like not doing the time for money exchange, right? I want to deliver amazing content and I want to be compensated for it, but also like I don't want to be tied to it as like a live kind of thing all the time.
Hmm.
I love
You
live teaching,
do.
so it'll always be a part of it. But yeah, it's interesting to see how it all kind of comes together and you know, this is where the curse of knowledge really comes in. Like
Mm.
one of the things that's so powerful about keyword research is that when you do it with empathy, like you're looking at data, you're looking at numbers, you're vetting something, but it is not a scientific experiment if you are coming at it through the lens of empathy. What causes a person to type that query into Google?
Mhm.
So I have a friend who is a pediatric occupational therapist, and she has a course for picky eaters. And when we were going through her sales page, she was coming at it from this like, and I do this and I do this. And oh my gosh, there are these amazing resources. And I was like, yeah, but we need to start with like, hey, mama, I see you. You've cooked 5 meals every night for the last 2 years. You're exhausted. You're worried that your kid is nutritionally deficit. You are just so fed up with feeding at this point, and we just know that the image you had in your mind of like sitting around the kitchen table with your family and just enjoying each other's company has not come to light because you have a kid who has some special needs around eating. I can help you with that. Like immediately you go, oh, that can still be keyword optimized. Like I can still put picky eater and like all the things in there. But when you come with empathy and you go a step behind, like what mindset, and it's different depending on what you do. Some people deal with lighter concepts. But I always found with test prep, like that was a hard sell because no kid wants to do it. And parents sometimes are resistant to it themselves. And so, like, how do you facilitate that transformation? They know they need it, they don't want it. How do you say, I got you? I'm going to give you the fastest way to get the higher score. And by the way, I'll also show you how to make thousands in scholarships while you're doing it so you can earn back the cost of this course. That was the promise. And it worked.
Mhm.
So going that step beyond and really coming at it with what do these people need, right? What is the need underneath and how do I meet them with my expertise here and then build a bridge to where I'm standing? And this is really interesting too. When you start looking up keywords, sometimes you're like, oh, this person's using a totally wrong term. Like that's totally outdated. As an expert, I would never type that in. Uh-oh, how do I find that person and correct it? How do I take that behavior and say, hey, you're saying this, but I don't think that's really what you need. Do you want to have a conversation about that? And there are ways you can do that with the copy you write, which brings us to the next point, which is you need to start creating consistent website content and you need to do it with heart. Now, this is a huge topic, and I have done a presentation on it. It's a whole other hour. It lives on my website. You can go ahead and click the link there when you're ready, and you can watch that video. I apologize for the quality. It was one of my very first lives, and it like the lawnmower is going and the lighting is bad, but the reality is it's helpful information. Um, and so you do want to think about the empathy, of course, but on page SEO is the way you speak to the bots. The heart with which you write your copy is the way you speak to the humans. And they are not necessarily at odds with one another. In fact, a lot of what serves the bots actually helps your reader. And so the first thing you want to do is to have content for a specific keyword in mind. I highly recommend saying, I'm doing it for this keyword. Like I wrote one yesterday for UX and SEO. So user experience and SEO, how do they interface and how does that create conversion events? And that actually would be, I didn't put it here because I wrote it yesterday, but that would be a good one to sort of help understand the flow of those queries. So I will go ahead and I will type it in to the chat after this. But um, when you write for a specific keyword, then you sort of know what that person came for. So this comes down to um, using the example of that, how to write SEO copy that converts. I have the keyword SEO, write SEO copy, how to write SEO copy. That converts is my little addition, but how to write SEO copy is what's being searched. And it's in not just the title, but the URL as well. It's also woven in throughout the body of the text and different variations on it. So like SEO copywriting and, things like that are all the way through the copy around that video that lives on my website. The other thing that's really helpful, this is probably the most missed thing, is connecting the disparate pieces of content on your site. And the way you do that is with what's called anchor links. All right. So you hyperlink anchor text. So if I want to, you can see the example in the document. If I want SEO services for small businesses to rank for that term on a different page, as it naturally comes up in the copy, I would write that exact keyword, SEO services for small businesses. I'd hyperlink it to my SEO services page. This tells Google, hey, I'm talking about SEO and user experience. This is actually something I do, and that's related and it's over there. And then when Google crawls a piece of content, it's going, oh, we see the nest, right? You're almost, think of like, here we go. Guardians. You think of Groot at the end of Guardians, how he like puts everybody in the big ball. He like turns himself into this beautiful like nest. That is exactly what we're looking for. We want to say, hey, Google, I don't write one-offs, right? Everything I do is connected. My sales pages are connected to the content I'm writing. I have a pillar page where I aggregate all the disparate pieces as well. It really leans into that interlinking strategy. And when you do that, it helps Google understand what you do. So, for example, I have a course about naming your purpose. I also do SEO. These lines don't cross with the exception of one post where I have one where I talk about my favorite books for naming your life's purpose, and I have one where I talk about your favorite books about entrepreneurship. They're related because they're books. Those are the only ones where the streams cross. Everything else is intentionally left in a silo because otherwise I'm muddying the waters. Because Google's going to go, I thought you were about living your purpose. And over here, you're talking about SEO. You almost want to think about your different content verticals as like almost separate websites. All of mine live on the same website, but you can think about it like, okay, what are the paths that my content falls in? And then the other thing that everyone forgets to do is to have an opt-in offer on your blog pages and ask people to opt in as the next right step. And so this comes down to, again, understanding the query, understanding what the next right step is that that person might need, and carving the path for them in that singular piece of in that singular piece of information where you say, I have a gift for you. So the post that I just wrote, the one about UX and SEO, I said that informational queries are like the do you want to have a cup of coffee of the organic search world, and transactional posts are like the Tinder of the organic search world. Here's what I mean by that. Someone asks for information and then you try to sell them something. It's like you showed up at the door naked on a first date. Like, not cool. Right? Don't do that. That's scary. And that person's not running away. If you say, hey, like you just came here, I gave you this amazing information. Don't hold back on the information. Actually deliver quality, transformation inducing content. And they go, do we have something here? Like, can I buy you a cup of coffee? I've got this amazing 3-part course. It's free. Would you like to hang around and see it? Whereas if they come to your sales page, they kind of want you to show up naked. Like they're like, give me all the information so I can decide if I want to swipe right or not. And so that's why transactional queries, organic marketing course, are they're the Tinder of the organic search game, right? Let me tell you everything. Here's my return policy. Here's why I'm qualified to teach you. I see where you are. Can I help you? Here's how I help you. Here's the benefits you're going to get. Here's the actual way that you go through. Here's the time commitment. Oh, also you have some questions? Here's my frequently asked questions. There are buy buttons all the way through. There's never a question. You're on a sales page. Is there video so that if you hate my voice, you know it from the jump? Because you shouldn't do a video course with somebody whose voice you hate. So that's sort of the two tracks you want to think in as you're creating your content, and then of course using your best practices.
So,
Did you have something to say,
well,
Angela?
no, well, I'm
I'm gonna
sorry.
type in the URL. No, you're
Cons-
good.
Consuelo, is that Consuelo? Who's Reverend Carla? I think that's Consuelo. I'm not positive, but it might be Carla. But I think it's my friend Consuelo. But she said, love the analogy, but what was making me laugh, and I apologize, trying to wait.
No, it's totally fine.
My husband came upstairs and he walked in just as you said. They just show up at the door naked. I'm like, he's probably like, what is this webinar about?
What is she teaching?
They want you to show up at the door naked. That's what you said when you walked in the room. I was like, it's usually not that interesting, my webinars, but see, you're making SEO sexy. I feel like there should
Make
be,
it spicy.
yeah.
SEO, but make it spicy.
Yeah,
Thank
exactly.
you, Reverend Carla. I appreciate it.
I don't know.
Oh man.
Anyway,
So if you
that
want
was
to
what
see
I
the
was trying to say.
post. So Gail, great question. Great question. So I just dropped in the link to that article where if you like the analogy. Oh shoot. Sorry. It's a newer post. And so I don't have the URL memorized.
I might be able to find it for you.
If you go to my it should be the latest one under writing. If you go in there, you can click on it.
Okay.
Sorry about
I'll
that.
look for it. I'll look
Let
for it
me
for you.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. So Gail, so if you have several different topics, how do you keep them separated on one site? So if you go to my website, there's actually this gets into hierarchy. I'm trying to decide if I should do it right now or at the end. No, I should do it right now. Are we okay if we go a little over?
Oh, I'm good. I think
All right.
everybody else will get the
All right.
recording. So yeah.
I have a lot to say, you know?
Oh,
All
I
right.
talk a lot in between as well, so I've been adding to your time, I think.
No, I love it. I love it. So fun. All right. So I will go a little long here. I will try to keep it tight though. So Gail, if you go to my website, you can see at the top, I used to have what a lot of people have. I used to have home and then services and then courses and writing and about and contact. And what I realized is, oh, I could do a screen share. Yeah. What a great idea. Technology. Okay. Screen share is disabled. I cannot do a screen share. I apologize.
Oh, I can make you host and then you can screen share.
Oh, okay. Cool.
I just got your link from the post.
Perfect.
And I'll make you a host. There we go.
Oh, I'm logged in. Let me log out real quick. You don't see the ugly version of the site. All right.
I love that you've given the document as well. So everybody, if you haven't clicked on
Yes.
that from earlier, she's like giving you a whole lesson here and it's in the document too. So, I mean, so awesome. Thank you for
It is
sharing all
all
that.
yours. Absolutely. Absolutely. So okay, I just logged out. So I'm at like a weird URL. So I used to have this set up where the header looked, like everybody else's header. Home, courses, writing, about, contact. Instead, and the light bulb kind of went on, or as I was going through a friend's website. He has like 15 podcasts. If anybody knows Dr. Ryan Gray, he has like a whole the reason we met each other was because he was in med school admissions and I was in college admissions. So we did some podcast episodes together and whatnot. He has like 15 podcasts. And so we had podcasts with this carrot of like 15 different shows. I was like, dude, this is not okay. Like, I do SEO audits. He's actually the reason I created that service. And I was like, this is a user experience nightmare. Like, nobody wants to do this. Like, give them something that allows them to see themselves and what they want and set it. And so in the course, what I teach and what Angela has sort of made reference to is when you create a content plan, it has a few components. The first is a sales page to whatever sales offer, or multiple sales pages potentially to a particular offer. You also write blog posts about that offer. And then you create what's called a pillar page, or a pillar page. Sometimes you hear this called the hub and spoke method. But once you have enough content, you can actually sort of flip what normally is in the header on its side and say, okay, now I'm going by the content verticals. And so live with purpose. If you come in here, I organize everything around. So I have my free opt-in. Oh, that's the fourth piece. So sales pages, pillar page, content that lives on the pillar page, which I'll show you in a second, and then a free opt-in that relates. So pretty much everything about purpose, I can pivot to a core values PDF. This is going to become a 3-part video series because it's not converting right now. I mean, it's fine. It's like 3%, but I want it to be higher. And I think a mini course confers greater value. And so I'm going to do a mini course about living in your purpose. Pop-ups work, by the way, use them. Don't be annoying about it, but use them. But you can see this whole page is about living with purpose. There's a video that's on YouTube that is tied to this. So I feed it here because Google owns YouTube. And then I write surrounding copy. And then I write posts around finding your purpose. I'm going to show you something a level deeper so you can understand it. This is the one that's gone gangbusters. This guy's getting like 800 hits a month right now. And then I have my course. So if you click through, you can find the course. And then I have live your purpose down here. So find your purpose, live your purpose are subsets. When and by the way, this is an entire post dedicated to the opt-in. So I have optimized, you can click in there and get it, but I also say you can also sign up for it. So I want to show you. This is one where I did one of those cheeky little like reversals. So I saw people were looking for personal mission statement generators. They were like looking for their personal mission statement on BuzzFeed. I was like, well, we need to address that. And so I made it, you are your own best personal mission statement generator to address like, hey, you're looking for this stuff. That's actually not going to do it. Right. If you're just doing it flawlessly, fine. But if you really want to know how to figure out your purpose in life, that ain't going to cut it. Here are some ideas for what you can do. But one thing I do want to show you, I'm going to open it in a new tab so you can see. So you see how this is the core page with this live with purpose? In WordPress, you can nest your URLs and you can use the categories to generate subsets. So when you think about bots and how they are going to crawl your website, the URL becomes really important. So the hierarchy on your site becomes really important. So if you don't know what to do with your life, here's some ideas. And I'll show you this one. So I optimized this one for organic marketing as well as the terms. Where are you? Timeless SEO principles. SEO principles is a keyword. And I had to search long and hard to find it because, as you might imagine, SEO terms are really, really just everybody's done them because they know what they're doing. So it's very hard to find opportunities. However, sometimes you can. And this is the cheeky article I wrote yesterday. Oh, I forgot the SEO. I forgot the I just gave you UX and SEO, and really I needed the SEO principles. So you can see this one's SEO principles. Now, the reason I did not make this organic marketing is because I know me, right? Technically, if I want to nest this and make it all smooth and easy, then I totally could have done that. The reason I didn't is because I have an itchy brain and there's no cream for that. And I wanted organic marketing to be the lightning rod, because if I want to talk about email marketing, right? If I somehow want to add that on and break it out in different ways, then I need to be able to do that. Same here. Um, Let me show you. I also love to talk about, ooh, you're looking weird. Why? Um, uh, I also have support for digital entrepreneurs. This is where like the mastermind lives and my coaching and all that. And I link to the magic of SEO. This goes to that organic marketing page, right? This is that internal linking structure. On digital entrepreneurs might be involved, might be interested in SEO. So I cross the streams there. I don't do it necessarily over on purpose as much. But I like to talk about entrepreneurial mindset. So I have entrepreneurial mindset posts. I also have ones that are more just about digital entrepreneurship at large. I aggregate my SEO content in that description, because if you're a digital entrepreneur, you better understand SEO, because that's how we get our clients. Does that all make sense?
We
I'm
did
going to
have a
go ahead and look at.
question. Yeah, we did have a
Yeah.
question about it, and I'm a little bit fuzzy on what you're saying here. Is it like the main
Mm-hmm.
pages are a main keyword? Is that what you were showing us? So I got a little lost, I will admit.
So, and this is something that I don't really get into in the course because it is confusing. And because if you have an existing website, you can really mess up the traffic you're already getting.
Right, by changing
This is where
everything
they
around.
have to have, yeah, you have to be careful about how you do your redirections. Otherwise, Google can't follow. Like Catherine, I wouldn't do it because you have so much traffic, or I would hire someone who's really good and understands that back end technology, because how you do the redirects is really important because Google has to follow the trail. So if you have a brand new site, I would absolutely do this. If you're getting zero traffic, you could absolutely do this. But you think about it like an umbrella, right? You think about like, I am Lauren Gaggioli. I do purpose work, SEO, and I love digital entrepreneurs. These
Right.
are my three things. Now, SEO is a subset of organic marketing. And so I made organic marketing the thing and then went to related keywords underneath that. And I did that because I wanted some wiggle room. So Gail, the reason, okay, so this is a great question. Yeah. So Catherine, the way that I do this is through WordPress categories, but I set it up really early. And so I do it through Thrive Themes. They have it kind of built in. So Gail, your question, if you scroll down, you can click on writing and that will take you to my blog. The reason it's writing and not blog is because I also write fiction. Itchy brain. So I want a place where I can build that out if I want to in the future. So the reason that I set it up this way, though, the reason that I flipped the script on what was in the top was because once you start getting organic search, listen, I am not Tony Robbins, right? Nobody, very few people are typing in Lauren Gaggioli. It's 40 people a month, by the way. I know that. So 40 people a month are typing in my name. I don't want to serve 40 people a month. I want to find the person who wants SEO for solopreneurs and doesn't know me yet, right? So what ends up happening is that people are going to start coming in through the roots of your website. They start coming in through the granular blog posts that have to do with what they just asked about. And that way, if they're there, they can look up at the top and it becomes really clear. Services tells them nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Learn and love SEO. That, oh, that's why I'm here. Oh, she does this. Oh, I'm a digital entrepreneur. Ooh, I want to know more about living with purpose. right? They can start to see themselves in it. So again, it comes from empathy. It comes from really seeing who's coming to you and understanding they're not coming through the front door. We all spend time on our homepage. It's so beautiful. Nobody's coming to your homepage. People come through the side window, right? They're climbing in the through the fireplace, right? They're Santa Clausing it. And you want them to very quickly orient themselves and say, I'm in the right place. This person talks about what I came here to learn about.
Right.
And that's why I do it. So I had another question about, okay, let's see. Yeah, there was another one about the flow again. So Reverend Carla, yes. So if you can see on that pillar page on my website, everything lives there. That is kind of the hub of everything. Sales pages spin off of that. In some cases, multiple sales pages. I offer multiple services around a particular group of people with a particular interest. Each post, the pillar page has the ability, and I do not put opt-ins on my sales pages. I want people to buy if they're on the transactional page. But every post, I can show you this actually. Every post I write pivots to the appropriate if I could figure out how to share my screen, yeah, I already did this. So every post pivots to an appropriate offer. If you come to my site for SEO, I can assume you would like to know more about getting traffic. And if you want to know more about getting traffic, the best way to figure out how to get traffic is to figure out where you're starting. Hard to know where you want to go on a map if you don't know your starting point, right? So I make that pivot in the end. Ready to marry UX and SEO in your content strategy? Just a quick note, this is an H2. You want to use H2s to break up your text, and you want to use mirrors of your keywords that you are targeting in that. But you can see here how I did an interlinking to my SEO. I used a pop-up. I did an interlinking to my SEO
Services.
services. If people want to just skip to the end, I don't want to do it myself. Great, it's right there. But this is an informational post. I talk about this in this post. So I kind of make light. I'm like, you ready to do this? Hey, guess what? You came for free. I've got free. And so they can go down and sign up for the DIY audit.
Mhm.
So does
While
that
you're,
make sense? I'm hoping so.
yeah, it does. It makes sense to me. And while you're here, just a question about the URL. So you nestled this, like you said, older sites, not so much mess around with your URLs, but don't you don't want to mess
Yeah.
things up, right? But newer sites, if I'm doing this, you're nestling those pages. And is there value in having SEO principles slash UX and SEO? Does that it helps Google identify they're all the same? Is that part of
It
it?
helps Google see that UX and SEO is a subset of the SEO principles.
Okay, and
And
that
then if
helps
I want to talk
Google.
email marketing, I would do email dash marketing, although I wouldn't because it's a very tricky term to rank for. But you could do a subset. I do a lot of podcasting. So I have this like weird notion of kind of building a whole suite of content around podcast guesting, which is a great term. And but the thing is, right now, I don't necessarily want to provide a paid resource for that. So why build out that content? I haven't quite figured that out. I have bigger fish to fry in the meantime.
Hmm.
So that's sort of like I'm always thinking like what's the path to revenue? And the path to revenue through the DIY audit is I walk you through some of the tools we're talking about now and I say, "Hey, and I have a course. So if you're interested, you can sign up." Right? And it's super easy, super low stress. It gives me an opportunity to teach you something you can take right now and use. But if it intrigues you, if you're like, "Ooh, and there's more," some people will lean in and want to take advantage of that.
Hmm. One of the things you did in your course, which was amazing to wrap it up, and I don't want to give away your
Oh,
course
feel free.
either.
Share it all. Go ahead. It's
But the whole like the end where I've done this with my clients, I've done this myself, but the way you did it was really powerful. Just knowing, okay, like what's your income goal? and what do you need to sell to get to
Yes.
that income goal. And when you did the calculation, like that is the reality of like everything, right? Like that's just essentially what we get on the computer
Yeah,
for every day is to have a
absolutely.
certain income. And you wrapped that all up. Like, honestly, Lauren, I think this is the best course I've ever taken. And I'm not just saying that.
Oh my
Like,
God.
I don't take
Wow, thank
like
you.
I take courses. I don't take a lot because I really kind of just work. I'm like an action taker, so I don't like
Yes.
take a lot of courses, but
Yes.
I've taken a significant amount in my, 20-ish years. But just
Yeah.
the way you laid it out, I thought it was so good. And I
Oh,
thought
thank
it
you.
really just made so much sense. Like, so well, the fact that you were on video with explanations underneath, and you kind of like turned the way I teach into not what am I trying to say? Like, you made me rethink how I'm teaching things, because
Oh,
not that I want
wow.
to do what you're doing exactly,
Right.
but a lot of times I'll show a lot of technical stuff, or I'll be on like on the computer, but the way you did it, it was like a coach is like coaching you along. And that is
Oh,
so powerful for people who want to work with you further, right? Like, so
yeah.
I just learned so much like going through your.
Oh, I'm so glad. Well, and that's really the fun of it, right? So I'm going to share a link here. It's the organic freedom tipping point is sort of what is what Angela's referring to. I came up with this calculate ACT SAT tutor. What can I say? I came up with a formula. And
It's
I
good.
basically show you like how much revenue, how much organic traffic do you need, worst case scenario, to hit your revenue targets. And I
Hmm.
walk you through like what kind of worst case scenario plan, right? And if you are doing no other marketing. And the reason it's the tipping point is that's where you get into like 4-hour work week territory, where I was with my daughter when she was born. So it's an interesting, I don't see anybody else talking about it. Like nobody comes at it this way. They're like, just get more. It's like, but we're small potatoes. Like we don't need everybody. We just need some people. And if we can figure out based on our offers what we get back, that is to me, at least it gives you a target, right? It gives you a
Hmm.
sense of how close or how far you are. And it's not to say if you marry organic marketing with other marketing channels, which we pretty much all do, then it gives you such agency and opportunity to 10x what you're doing now or whatever. So it comes down to the data, is what I'm saying. Like, yes, it's hard and it's about serving other people. But if we have the data, we can stop throwing darts in the dark. We can stop throwing
Exactly.
spaghetti at the walls. We like have a focus and we know which way we're going. And gosh, that just when you're sitting on your computer day after day in your guest room, in my case, with too much coffee and not enough showers, then you can kind of go, all right, but I know what I'm charging towards and I know where the finish line is. And that gives
Hmm.
you energy and endurance as you go. So I'm really grateful for that feedback, Angela. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. And it's true. I wouldn't say it if it wasn't, but I think, one of the things I see people struggling with a lot is they don't have any data and they don't know where to start, like
Yeah.
what to do. And I think,
Yeah.
yeah, you made it so in that equation. And if they click on that, that's on your blog, is it? It explains that kind of tipping point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
explains the concept. I can't remember. I wrote that a while ago. I can't remember if I actually give the formula in that. I think I
Hmm.
don't. I
But
think
just
I don't.
knowing
But I explained the
what your
concept.
goal is and what you need to look at. And I think that, like, because we get so inundated with like all of these things, like the end is a certain income. And how do you make that happen? Like that's where I think a lot of people struggle seeing that visual. So I love that your course wrapped it all up like with that. So anyway, that's
Well,
kind of what my feedback
I
was.
also have to say, I always talk about impact and income. And just know if you start getting found in organic search, your impact will be greater, right?
Hmm.
Like to me, that's the thing. The trickle down is the income,
Hmm.
right? Not everybody is going to join in and pay and whatever, but like the fact that you can help somebody today by something you wrote a year ago, that's amazing. Like what a cool time we live in. And also to
Hmm.
your point, Angela, I'm a doer too. And I hate anything that wastes my time or like tells me I have to keep showing up in to like learn more. Like, no. So I was always kind of resistant to the idea of creating a membership. which Vincent and I go toe to toe on. But just because online business, like you need to start doing. And so coming alongside the course, I'm developing the Digital Entrepreneurs Accountability Group. It is a bare bones, like we do founders hours 4 times a month. You goal set at the beginning of the month. There's accountability at the end. And it's 90-minute quiet Zooms for you to think like a founder and a CEO, not an employee in your business. And it's where we get high level and we work on our businesses, not in our businesses. And so that's coming alongside. And the promise is you get 2 months free as a part of the course. And if you use those hours to do the course, you'll be done at the end of 2 months. So it's to help flip the script on that 85% of people who buy and don't finish their online courses. I
Mm-hmm.
want you in the successful minority. I want you in the top 3.5% of web pages being found on the internet. I want you in the top 10% of entrepreneurs who succeed. And I want you in the top 15% of folks who actually finish the courses they start. So that's why I've developed that alongside it. So, but I really hope that everybody got something new they can try today, because I also feel like this can be really overwhelming if you're like, I got to eat the whole elephant in one bite. But if you do just a little bit, start internal linking on your site and you're going to see a change. Start doing some keyword research. You're going to see more traffic. But you won't if you don't submit to Google Search Console. So that's probably the first step.
Yeah, get Google Search Console. I do. I have data for that actually. I looked
Oh
it up
yeah.
before this presentation or this webinar,
Nice.
and I started in June last year doing some
Mm-hmm.
SEO. I added 11 posts. There's only 23 posts on my site, and I SEO'd the old posts and got rid of any that I just thought weren't gonna be good
Yeah.
for Google or for anything like there, because my blog posts before were just kind of like I just wrote whatever I thought, and they were more like my emails and stuff, and I was trying to
Yeah.
improve the whole thing. So before I did anything with SEO, I have some data in Google Search Console. I got 53 clicks from the period of June, so for 4 months. So the first four
Okay.
months of data is like before I did anything. So that was 53 clicks and 867 impressions. Here, I'm gonna paste it in actually, you
Yeah.
guys.
I want to see.
So I this is the first 4 months. Each are 4 month sections because I thought just to make it like even
Yeah.
comparison.
Data.
So
Yay.
yeah, so the and then the first 4 months after I started, I got 116 clicks and 13.7 impressions. So anyone who doesn't know Google Search Console, the impressions are what Google is like showing people on Google itself, right? It's not impressions on my site, it's impressions on Google. That's right, Lauren.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes. Yep. It's your search engine results. How often are you showing up?
Right. How many? And then it went to 39.4 impressions and 296 clicks. So that's just like a little bit of work over, 9 months or so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I'm
So,
very happy with that.
one thing I want to point out, exponential growth. You are
Hmm.
headed towards a hockey stick, right? You've got 53, you doubled, and then you tripled. And this
Hmm.
is what happens. Like,
I love it.
every person I work with, like suddenly you're just like, oh, and they took off. Hooray. It's like
How
a plane,
cool.
like you got the runway, right? And sometimes too, you have to remember if you're doing a big shift, and this is part of why my site isn't yet where it should be, because I only started publishing SEO content in January. When I made that flip is when I posted three new pieces of content around SEO, because I was focusing on purpose for the first round.
Hmm.
And then when I did that, I kind of shifted things and it's starting to go, right? I can see some of those posts starting to like gain a little traction, but I can see the best place to bury a dead body is on the second page of Google because nobody goes there, right? So I can see like I'm like on the third page. It's not yet getting traffic, but boy, oh, it's rising. So when you see that, it's like, great, it's coming, right? And that's the thing. When you have I think a lot of, at least I in the past, have gotten mad at myself for things I've not been executing on, right? Action taker. However, I think one of the reasons some of us don't act on things is because we don't feel certain about the strategy we're employing. I think when
Hmm.
we feel certain about the strategy, then we can deliver because we can fully commit.
Yeah, that's exactly what this is to me. This was like, okay, I believe Aisha and I believe Lauren, but let me
Yeah.
put a little bit of effort into it. Let me put some focus into it. Let me see
Yeah.
what happens. It's happening. And like, even though there's not like there's 50 clicks on my site and I put LOL, but to me, that is amazing. Like that
It's a sign.
297 in 4 months. Imagine if that was 29 or 296 targeted people who wanted, like I have a course called Coaching Without Calls. Imagine that was 296 people who were interested in coaching and not doing calls. And, I have a 3% conversion rate. That's 9 new people almost
Yeah.
into my course. Like, that's amazing. I
Yep.
am super excited about this.
For work you did 6 months ago, a year
Hmm.
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's powerful. It's so powerful. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's kind of like being in the
Yeah.
Matrix, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I did this. I was like, this is the thing I love. I had so many friends who were like, are you sure you really want to? Like, this seems boring. And I was
Yeah.
like, no, this is amazing. This is life changing. And
It
I had
is.
to stop listening to what other people were saying and just be like, no, I trust my gut. This is the thing that made the difference with my first company and why when they were running around with their heads,
Hmm.
hair on fire, I was sitting there nursing a baby going, I don't get it. I just made a sale. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Oh
all
my
good.
gosh.
So,
I
yeah,
wish I had learned this sooner.
of
People
course,
have
always.
often said they wish they learned email marketing sooner, but I tried to learn this sooner though. So things come when it's the right time, I guess. Because
Yes.
I totally remember my son was 4 months old. He's now almost 22, and
Oh
I was
my
watching
gosh.
videos on SEO. So I know it was a long time ago. And then I
Yeah.
just like said, okay, that's nice. I don't get it, and then I moved on.
Yeah.
So so fun. I really appreciate you being here today. So much good information. You've got the results to prove it, and I would definitely recommend you to anybody who wanted to learn SEO, not just
Thank
SEO,
you.
but the whole ecosystem. I really saw that come into play in your course, and fully. That's not always easy to do to kind of see the full picture of what someone's trying to teach. So I think you did an
Yeah.
amazing job at that. So
Oh,
thank you so
thank
much
you.
for being here.
Thank you for having me. It was lovely to meet you all. And if anybody has questions, feel free to email me. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. The course does go live tomorrow. So there's a discount through tomorrow. If that's something you're interested in, and you get an extra 15% off with
Amazing.
Angela's code. And all that is in the document. So feel free to use it or not. I hope you got something from this.
Thank you everybody for being here as well. Yes. So you save, is it today and tomorrow with the or
Yes. So Friday. So your code will always be live. This is an evergreen course. I hate launches. I hate them.
Mhm,
So this is evergreen. It is ready. When you come through my doors and you say, I need this, I'm going to say, great, here it is.
mhm.
You can do the DIY audit for free if you want to go over and sign up for that. But yes, if you want the extra $100 off, so the course is $650. There's also a payment plan. It's $100 off right now. If you sign up before tomorrow night, Friday, March 1st, you save an extra 100 and you get Angela's 15% discount. So you get double whammy.
Oh,
If you
nice.
Angela's discount code is forever though. So if you're
Okay.
like not now and you go, "Oh, in 6 months I need to." It's still going to be sitting there for you. So,
Thank you.
yes,
That's awesome.
absolutely.
All right. Thanks so much, everybody. Thank you again,
Thank you
Lauren.
everyone.
And we'll wrap it up there. Thanks for being here. Bye.